Hello everyone, thank you for tuning in to the new student checklist webinar for spring orientation and onboarding for those students who are starting at Ithaca College in January of 2026. First of all, we're super excited that you all are coming. We can't wait to welcome you to campus, and hopefully this webinar will give you some useful and helpful information as you get ready to make that transition and get ready to come to campus. My name is Ellie Burke. I use she, they pronouns. I'm currently the Assistant Director of New Student and Transition Programs. We're the office that oversees the new student checklist, orientation, all that good stuff. So we'll go over contact information and a ton of stuff that you'll want to know. But if you have any questions, our contact information will be at the end, so please reach out to us with those. So first of all, NSTP, that's what we call New Student and Transition Programs. Our mission is to help new students and their families prepare for, transition to, and get connected with Ithaca College. So that's what we're here for. That's our goal. Hopefully we can help you to do that as you get ready to come in January. So first of all, the ithaca.edu/orientation page is going to be a really great resource for you as you're getting ready to come to campus. The big takeaway is going to spring orientation, and you can find some additional links there. This is also where you can find the orientation schedule. There's a chat bot, new student FAQs, etc. So there's a ton of resources on this page. We'll go there to the live version real quick, just so that you can see what it looks like. So when you go to ithaca.edu/orientation, this is the page that you're going to land on. You'll want to select spring orientation. It'll take you to this page. On this page, you can find some what to expect at orientation, some important dates, some links to things like move-in, etc. And then our contact information is also on our webpage here as well. Scrolling back up, if you go to Spring New Student Checklist, this page has all of the items that are on your new student checklist, but just not actively like the new student checklist itself, if that makes sense. So if you're a parent watching this, this is the version that you are going to have access to in IC Connect, which we'll talk about here in a minute, where the actual checklist is. You won't be able to log into that. That's only for the students. So if you're curious about what's on the new student checklist and you're a parent or a guardian, this is the best place for you to go. So if you scroll down, you'll receive an email from servicedesk@ithaca.edu to whatever email address you provided in either your common application or your coalition application. That will get you set up with an Ithaca College student account. So even if you've logged into IC Connect through the portal previously to do your applications, etc., you want to set up your Ithaca College account to actually be able to complete your new student checklist and get ready to come to campus. So that's going to be your first step. And if you haven't started with that yet, start there and then you can move forward. When scrolling down, some of those additional items you can find, they're separated on this page into different categories so that you can have an idea of what you might have to get done. If you select any of them, it'll expand, so you'll have the title of it, when it's available, when it's due, and then some instructions for how to complete it. So again, that's everything that's on the new student checklist. It's also on this page. All right, the spring orientation schedule is also going to be a great resource for you. So on this page, you'll have access to the entirety of what spring orientation 2026 is going to look like. Similarly, each of these days, they expand to have the full schedule. The big thing is that orientation starts on Thursday, January 15th, with housing and orientation check-in and new student move-in. So this is where if you're living on campus, you'll pick up your housing information, your key, you'll get your student ID if you've submitted your photo in time, you'll check in for orientation, get all of your orientation materials, etc. So you can arrive at any point within that 12 to 5 p.m. window. If you're living off campus and don't have to pick up your key or deal with housing, we recommend you come closer to the 5 p.m. or like maybe around 4 or 4:30, so that you're not hanging around campus unless there's other things you want to do on campus before the first couple of sessions in the evening. but it is required for you to come to check in at some point so that you can get those materials, your ID, etc. And then the first session is from 5:30 to 6:30, and that is our new student and family supporter welcome dinner. From there, we'll talk more about what to expect, but there are some required sessions following that in the evening for you to come to. And then again, you can find more information about the full schedule here. And then the other important thing is that there are some open computer lab hours. So there are a few modules, we call them our community education modules, that you'll have to complete as a student here at Ithaca College. They're on your new student checklist. You can find more information there. But if you don't have a chance to complete them before coming to campus, Friends Hall 103 will be available for you on both Sunday and Monday right before classes in case you want to go to a computer lab, sit down, and actually get them done. All right, there's also, again, like I said, the new student FAQs page. This has a ton of questions and answers for you. So if you can't find the question here, the next suggestion would be, if you go back to spring orientation, you can find Chat with Texter. This is the chatbot that we mentioned earlier, so you can chat, ask Texter questions, and hopefully get your question answered there. But then again, if it's not on that new student FAQs page and Texter doesn't know the answer, you can always reach out to NSTP directly. All right, going back to our slides. To access the new student checklist, what you'll do is you'll go to ithaca.edu/ic-connect. From there, you want to click login. And then once you click login, it'll bring you to a page that looks like this. This may look similar because this is the same portal that you would have done your application materials with, but you don't want to log in with this option. You want to click this Use Campus Login option. Again, after you set up your IC account, it'll make it a lot easier for a lot of different reasons. But once you have your IC account activated, you can click Use Campus Login, and it'll bring you to the new student checklist. This is the page that you'll land on once you have successfully logged in. From there, you'll hit New Student Checklist, and then it'll look something like this. So this is what the actual New Student Checklist itself looks like. There's a ton of really important information on here that will hopefully help you to complete each of the items here. So first of all, there's the name of the item, so whatever it is you're supposed to do, the due date of it, instructions for how to complete the item, and then a link that will take you to either directly the item that you need to complete or additional information on how to access it, depending on what the specific item you're looking at is. There are also a few optional items that are not required to be completed, and those items are indicated by this gray bar at the top, and then it'll say this checklist item is optional. Additionally, up at the top of your new student checklist, there will be this bar that will help you to visualize how much of your new student checklist you've done and how much you still need to get done. So that's what that bar is. It tells you how many of the items that you've completed. And then this little button right here where it says I did this, this is really important if you don't want to get a ton of emails. I'll talk about this a little bit more in depth, but this is the I did this button. This is how you mark an item as completed, and it is, you'll want to click it, I promise. So some of the urgent items that I wanted to highlight are your housing forms. These are span from your housing preferences to the housing agreement, etc. All of the housing forms are due by Wednesday, December 10th at noon. So if you're watching this and it's after that date, get those in as soon as possible so that you can make sure you have a room ready for you once you arrive to campus. And if you're worried about it, you can always reach out to them directly at housing@ithaca.edu. There are also a few academic-based new student checklist items that you'll want to do. The first of those is your course registration appointment. You'll receive information about how to schedule your appointment to your email directly from like your school. Each of them are each of the 5 schools are slightly different with how they're handling those course registration appointments. But regardless, you need to have attended your appointment by Friday, January 9th to ensure that you have the best classes, etc. There are also 2 assessments that will help to place you in courses, including the math placement assessment, which is required for all new students. And if you're interested at all in taking a language or continuing a language, etc., you'll want to take the language placement assessment, or if you're interested in multiple languages, multiple assessments. Both of those, especially the language placement, are going to be something you could talk about in your course registration appointment. So if you're a little bit worried about those, just chat with your advisor about them when you're registering for classes. And then the health forms are really, really important. I'll talk about them on the next slide, but those need to be completed by Monday, January 5th. So again, those health forms, they're legally required for all students to live on campus and attend classes in person. They essentially certify that you have, agree to things, have done tests of all the things. I don't fully remember. I know there's a lot of items on there. We recognize that they're difficult and that there's a lot of steps to them. So if you need help, please reach out regarding your health forms. Forms need to be submitted as soon as possible, and then at the latest by that January 5th date. And keep in mind that it can take around 1 to 2 weeks for the health center to process your forms. So make sure you give them time to do that. There are a couple ways you can upload some of them. The easiest tends to be to upload them directly to My IC Health Center. There's more information about how to access this on your new student checklist. But you could also send them to ichealth@cayugahealth.org, or you can always fax them to 607-274-1844. There's additional information to hopefully help you get through the health forms because, like I said, we know that they're kind of complicated. If you go to ithaca.edu/student-health-services/new-students, you can also scan this QR code. That's where it goes. And then if you have any questions about it, like I said, reach out to ichealth@cayugahealth.org, and they can help you with that. Some tips for completing your new student checklist. When I highlighted the I did this button, I did that because the checklist is mostly a self-reporting tool, meaning students need to manually check off items as they complete them. If you leave items that you've already done not checked off, so you haven't clicked the I did this button, you'll probably get weekly reminder emails to complete them. So just because you receive an email saying that you haven't completed it doesn't necessarily mean that we haven't received it. It's just automated through the new student checklist. So as you go through and complete your items, check them off to make sure that you're not getting really annoying weekly email reminders about items that you've already completed. A quick note about the health certification forms. They are not fully self-reported on your end. You can check them off, but if they're not completed on the back end, so the health center side, and they haven't fully processed your forms, that box will get deselected or unselected. So it will only be and show up as checked off once the health center has fully processed them. So you can click it, but it's not necessarily gonna stay clicked, if that makes sense. And then as you're working through your new student checklist, if you have any questions, concerns, issues with anything at all, please email or call our office and we can help walk you through it and troubleshoot what's going on. Some quick orientation reminders. Orientation is required for all new students. We know that a lot of our students who are coming in January tend to be transfer students, and they know the how to college, but they don't know Ithaca College specifically. So our orientation program is designed to make sure that you have everything you need to be successful, not just at college, but at Ithaca College. So it is required for all new students, regardless of the number of credits or years you've completed, etc. It's required for everybody. And then, like I mentioned when we were looking at the schedule, the first session is the welcome dinner on the 15th from 5:30 to 6:30. And note that this is the only parent and family session of spring orientation that we have available. There are not any additional parent and family sessions. We showed you the link from the website, but if you're on this page and you want to just scan the QR code to see it again, you can find the spring orientation schedule at the QR code. And then additionally, we suggest downloading the Zemi app and then joining the Ithaca College community. Zeme is a platform where you can ask questions of your peers, you can chat with counselors at the institution that you're interested in or going to be attending, or you can just make connections with other people who are going to be coming to Ithaca College. So it's a great way to get some questions answered and also start to build your community before you even come to campus. So like I said a couple times, genuinely, if you have any questions whatsoever, please reach out to New Student and Transition Programs. We're typically open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Our number is 607-274-1908, or you can always send us an email at any time at nstp@ithaca.edu. A quick note is that Ithaca College will be closed from December 24th through January 2nd. So our staff will return on Monday, January 5th. So if you send us an email or call and leave us a message at any point during that window when we're closed, we'll get back to you as soon as possible once we return on January 5th. You can also follow us on Instagram or TikTok. We post a lot of fun, engaging stuff, but also some important reminders and additional information for you as you get ready to come to campus. You can follow us at IC Transition on Instagram and TikTok. So genuinely reach out to us if you have any questions, but otherwise, thank you for attending this webinar and watching all the way through, and we look forward to welcoming you in January.